Edinburgh Fringe Festival 2026. I did a little breakdown video of it a few weeks ago, and I told you all my kind of thoughts of the Fringe. Having not been there last year, took the year out last year, and then this year I had no plans on going. I did my little breakdown, and I talked about my experiences being now 2 years removed from those experiences and how I felt. Well, what a week it has been, and how much things can change in a week and a few weeks since I made that video. Because last week I was eating with James from the Pokemon card shop, who we run a gig there at 151 in Bolton. The next one is the 7th of September. Tickets are £10. There's a couple left, so if you want to come, grab them now. And we were chatting, and he was saying now, like, oh, I've got Sunday off. No, I've got Saturday off. And my mum lives near Edinburgh, and I'm thinking of just nipping up. And then I thought, ooh, should I go? And then he starts going, if you're going, we'll go. So I'm kind of going. I said, listen, it was the start of dinner. I hadn't actually eaten yet, and I was like, right, I'll tell you by the end of me eating. I'll tell you, when I finish this food, I think we're waiting for it to be actually delivered when this first came. We're waiting for it to be cooked while we're having this discussion. So, I said, let me tell you by the end of the hour. End of the hour, I said, nah. I said, it's not happening. So I don't think I'm going to do it. And then, about 2 hours later, got a message off someone who I respect the most. And they said to me, go, do it, enjoy yourself, experience it, go and do it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I messaged him, I said, right, let's do it. Let's go to the Fringe. He went, right, we'll go. I'll message my mum now. His mum lives near Edinburgh, his sister lives near Edinburgh. He messages his mum. Turns out, his mum and his sister are both going away together that weekend. So he's like, right, it's not a problem. She's going to leave a key for me at someone else's house. We can pick up the key. We can go collect it. And then we will stay at my mum's house. You can stay on the sofa. I'll stay in the spare room. I said, not a problem. I can sleep on a sofa for one night. So he was finishing work at 10 o'clock. I met him outside his shop at 10 p.m. We drove down to his mum's house. Stayed there, woke up about 10 a.m, went for food at like a local cafe, whatever, got some breakfast, and then boom, we went into Edinburgh. All of a sudden, plans just changed. I'm back at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, having not planning on going there. Now, the Edinburgh Fringe ecosystem is very strange because I don't think it really matters too much where you are on the... I mean, obviously it does, like, if you're at the top of the comedy ladder, but I don't think it really matters where you are too much on the comedy ladder. I could feel, being at the Fringe, that I was completely unimportant because I didn't have a show there. I don't have my posters all over the wall. I don't have press writing articles about me. When I'm in Edinburgh, I'm an absolute nobody. Not that I'm a somebody elsewhere, but there I cannot... Like, if I'm requesting something, it's like I'm a pauper being like, please, sir, can I please have something? And it feels like you're being right at the bottom of the comedy ladder again. Because that's what it feels like when you start stand-up comedy and you're trying to get gigs and nobody will book you for anything. You're like, please, can I just do 5 minutes? Can I just do 5? And that's what I was like that day. I was just doing anything I could to get any kind of stage time that I could. I sent maybe 20 messages out and it came back with 5 gigs. And I thought, you know what? Then it's worth it. Might as well travel to Edinburgh because there's no day in Manchester where I'm going to pick up 5 gigs in a day. And the fact that you can pick up so many in one day, it helps to improve you, like performing so consistently in short spaces of time. So we get there, and we get there, we go grab another coffee as if the first one wasn't enough where we were to begin with. And then we had about an hour till the show was starting. And in Edinburgh, it's not like you can just go to the show early because like it's good to be early. You don't want to be too early in Edinburgh because there's a show going on already in that room. The venue do not want all these comedians hanging around in the venue, not spending money on, the bar on food or whatever. So this place where it was is at a place called the South Side, which is like a pub lunch kind of place. So they're selling food, they're selling drinks. All these comics are going just to gigs. So you don't want to get there too early, just lingering around, taking up space. So we thought, right, what can we do? There's loads of charity shops nearby. So we went, James is looking at the moment for loads of different stand-up comedy DVDs and vinyls and all kinds of this stuff. So we thought, right, we'll go look at all these charity shops. We'll go see what's in there. I'm looking for a book, by the way, Pure Dynamite by the Dynamite Kid. It's an autobiography of the rest of Dynamite Kid. Never find it anywhere. Every time I find it, it's online and it's like 30 quid or something. I'm not paying that for a book that I probably won't even read because I'm not a good reader. I'll read it on the way to gigs. How about that? I might read it. So anyway, we go into about 4 or 5 charity shops that are all near the South Side. Spend a bit of time there. We get to the gig about 15 minutes early, and it's being run by a guy called Kevin O'Brien. Now, I know Kevin O'Brien because he's from the local scene. He's from Southport. I'm from Bolton. We've known each other for maybe now, at this stage, maybe about 5 years, maybe a bit. I don't know if he started. Did he start comedy in like 2019, 2020, or did he just start 2020, 2021 after the pandemic? I can't remember. But either way, I've known him for, let's just say, 5 years. And that gig before it is still going on, and there's not a lot of room to stand, so we're trying to find anywhere to stand. We're blocking routes into the kitchen. The staff are getting frustrated with us. And I say hello to Kev, catch up. He goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming to Edinburgh." And I say, "Yeah, I'm here just for the day, 24 hours, staying at his mum's house, and then we're heading off at midnight tonight. We're shooting straight off again." So one thing I didn't do, and one thing that like. It's weird because obviously I'm used to going to gigs and knowing exactly where I am on the lineup because I'm either closing or I'm opening or I'm in the middle. But I know beforehand where I am in most lineups just because you know where you are in the comedy world. In Edinburgh, you have no idea where you're going to be on the lineup. So I turn up there and I'm thinking like, I need to leave soon and I don't know when I'm on. So the first act goes on. Luckily, I'm second, but I was unprepared, and I was so unprepared, I was actually... I don't know if nervous was the right word, but like, I had no idea what I was going to do material-wise. I had nothing planned. I just wanted stage time. I didn't want to mess around too much. So I just did the first material that came to my head, which was about being from Bolton. I did that material, then I moved into other stuff. But like, when I was saying it, I was adding stuff in there that made... It was just fluff, just extra words in there that didn't add to the joke. That was just extra stuff. But it was great to get my first gig underway. The room itself was pretty packed out. There was a young group of about 15 girls from Glasgow. Young, like, girls who came to the back from Glasgow. And I am going to judge a book by its cover here. I looked at them 15 girls walk into the back, and they dressed more for, like a bottomless brunch kind of thing. So, like, it's that kind of young girl. And it's not typically the kind of group that you see walk into a stand-up show at 1:30 in the daytime. So I'm thinking, are they going to enjoy this? Like, why have they come to, like... You think that a lot when people, like, stand out in audiences. Sometimes it's older people. So, for example, there was an older guy in that audience, and he was kind of heckling Kev when he was on stage doing his, like, emceeing and hosting. And I'm thinking, come on, mate, have a day off. Let him get through it. There's loads of acts here to get on, but this guy don't care. He's just like, oh, anyway. Get on there, do me stuff. It goes okay. Okay is the theme of the day as well. It went okay, and I was happy with it. 1:30, got my first gig in. Straight away, I'm off to the alternative black cabaret ran by Che Burnley in Whistlebinkis, and that starts like... I think 2 o'clock. So basically, me and James, boom, shoot straight over there. We get there about a couple of minutes before it's going to start. Perfect timing, lovely stuff. There's loads of acts on this line. Now this is the alternative black cabaret, and he counts me as, well, let's say this. So they have a token white person on every gig. And guess who was the token white person? Not me. I was one of the black acts being Pakistani. I counted as black, and very, very much appreciative of the fact that he gave me a spot on that lineup and he allowed me to perform. However, the show was rammed. There was so many acts on the lineup, and again, I'm begging for spots, so again, don't blame him whatsoever. But I got about 3 minutes of stage time, which isn't great typically, but for the fact I'm picking up an extra 3 minutes and an extra gig there, I was happy with it. And again, it went okay. The audience were confused. Obviously, it's a black showcase, and I was closing the gig as well. Why is this being closed by someone who, to us, to everyone, we would all say, even myself would say, this guy is not black. But Chase says, no, you're Pakistani. That's black enough for me. I said, do you know what, mate? Thank you very much. I'll take the stage time. It was fun. There, I met up with Anno Gomez. Now, I have known Anno longer than most people that I've known in stand-up comedy. However, I've actually only met him about 5 times, or at least 5 weeks. So I first met Anno when I was on holiday in Hong Kong back in 2019. And this is a long story, but essentially what happened is, I wanted to go to Hong Kong. I messaged one of my teammates from uni, Tony. I said, Tony, did I say Hong Kong? I wanted to go to China, and I know Tony's Chinese ethnically, so I messaged him and I said, I want to go to China. Where would you recommend that I go? I want to see the Great Wall. I know it's massive, so like, what would you recommend to me? And essentially, he goes, don't go to China, go to Hong Kong. Like, I think you'd enjoy Hong Kong better. I go, would I? He goes, in fact, why don't I go with you? I'm like, what? He goes, and I'm a teacher, so I can only go these certain times a year. How about this time? And it was Halloween 2019. It was that bank holiday weekend when the kids were off school in those days. And I'm like, all right, I guess so. Sounds good. Like, this has all gone a bit quickly. Yeah, I wanted to go to China. I've ended up going Hong Kong with you. But it is what it is. Let's go. The night before comes and Tony realises his passport has expired. His passport had expired. So guys, I'm now going to Hong Kong by myself, having not wanted to go to Hong Kong originally. I wanted to go to China. I've got no plans because he said, no, don't worry about it. My cousins live there. I've been there before. I'll make the plans. I'll set everything out in motion. I'm thinking, I've got nothing planned here. So straight away, I got onto the comedy scene in Hong Kong. And I was like, finding them online, messaging, being like, listen, can I get any stage time when I'm in Hong Kong? And I found one that was basically like an open mic. You had to sign up in advance, but it was basically open mic. It was no pay. And the audience, from memory, it was mostly the acts and their friends. And I was like, well, I've got nothing else to do. I was brand new in comedy at the time. I'd been going about a year. Why not have a bit of stage time in Hong Kong? And it's something fun to say that, oh, I've done comedy in Hong Kong. I did it, and it went all right. It went all right, and it went so well that afterwards I was talking to the acts, because again, I've got nowhere to go. I've got no one to hang out with, so I'm just hanging out there talking to the acts. And they go, we'll get you another gig if you want. They got me another gig. It was a gay bar in Hong Kong. And in fact, no, that was the third one. No, what was that, the third one? No, wait. No, yeah, that was the second one. It was a gay, I didn't know it was a gay bar, just a random bar. Not that it matters to me, I'll perform anywhere where the money's clean. So I go to that bar, and then I meet this lad from London who's gay, and he's like, yeah, this is a gay bar. Like, I just assumed that like everyone here would be gay, and I was like, oh well, whatever. And he's like, do you guys want to hang out? Who's the guys? There was a guy on that show. His name was Anno Gomez. Anno Gomez was travelling around Asia. He's from Australia. His parents are from like Cape Verde, and I'm not sure where his mum's from. But either way, he was travelling around, yeah? And we just got talking. We got talking with this lad called Lewis from London. And then the three of us were like, let's just hang out. So from there, we just started to hang out. We went to Macau, which is like obviously like the gambling capital of the world, which is just near Hong Kong. We went there. We walked down this massive bridge, which you're clearly not supposed to walk down, which fun memories, nothing outrageously exciting, but fun memories nonetheless. And that's when I met Anno Gomez. The second time I met Anno Gomez was when I was gigging in Berlin. Now, by this point, we're Facebook friends, Instagram friends, whatever, and I'm messaging him. And I knew that he'd lived in Berlin, and I also knew there was potential to get paid work in Berlin. So I just sent him a message going, hey, I'm thinking of going to Berlin. Can you like put me on to some people so I can get some stage time? He goes, yeah, no worries. Message these people. Now, by this point, he's living in London. Obviously, I'm in Bolton, which is the north, that's the south. So again, not seeing him. I get to Berlin, turns out Arno Gomez is in Berlin when I'm there, so I end up meeting up with him there, hanging out, and then people are going, oh, do you know each other? I go, yeah, we gig together in Hong Kong, like, don't you both live in the UK? Yeah, but we're going through all this process. The next time I saw him was at the Edinburgh Fringe 2023 is the next time I saw him. He was running a show there, and he was running a compilation show there, and then his mates were running a compilation show in the same venue after that. But his venues were all the way out of the town, and they were very sparsely populated gigs. So then we met up there, and we were hanging out with each other again a bit more during the week because, again, we're in the same place. And then I've not seen him since. He moved to America for a year. He's now back in the UK. He's now back there. And I bumped into him at the Alternative Black Cabaret. So, that, again, it was all right. Glad to pick up the stage time. Always nice to see Che. Lovely bloke. Likes to spend time with him. And a wrestling fan to boot. I think he even runs his own wrestling company, which is quite fun. So that was the second gig of the day. Then after it, we just chatting with one of the New York comedians who was on the lineup, and he was like, what are you guys doing? And then Che was like, oh, I'm going to go for a drink. And then Anna was like, well, I don't really want to drink, and I don't drink. So we're like, we just ended up knocking about, the three of us, and then we ended up going for ice cream, and then I lost James at one point, and then he came back, and then I bumped into Ridwan Hussein, popped out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, he's mates with Anna, and they're staying together. We went for ice cream together, which was fun. And then my next gig after that was at the Raging Bull. Now, the Raging Bull is out of town, but kind of in the middle, but out of town, basically. And shows there struggle to get audience. So I was a little bit... But I've done some shows then in the past that have been really, really good. But people told me before, I'm going, it can be a bit ropey, that gig. And it's like I don't know what the actual word for it is, but let's just call it like dodgy accents is what it's called. So it's called a dodgy accent show. So the whole point of it is you do your set in a dodgy accent that isn't your own. Now, I wasn't going to shy away from this. I weren't going to shy away from it whatsoever. I did the accent of one of my family members. I thought I'm going to dive into this. But even though I explained it to the audience, this is directly a mock version of one of my family members' accents, they were not going with it. Because I did a few jokes before, they were going with it a little bit. As soon as I went into the accent, not going with it whatsoever. Then I went out of the accent. I went, do you know what, guys? I can clearly tell that you do not want the dodgy accent here. You, the guys who've turned up for the dodgy accent show. Now I'm doing the dodgy accent. You're being quiet here. You're not laughing. So I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go back into my own accent so we can all actually enjoy this a little bit more. Went into my own accent, and yeah, it was much better from there on. But again, an okay gig overall. Not gangbusters. In the audience, there's like 12 people in there. Not a lot of people. Then we had a bit of wait time, and then we bumped into... In fact, bumped into Anno again, and a guy called... Is he called Rob Moriarty, I think he's called? I know Moriarty's his surname. Irish comedian, friends with Anno Gomez. So, again, we're hanging out before this last gig, and this is the non-drinking show, and it's run by Andy Roach. And I know Andy Roach, he's a Liverpool comedian. I've known him since he started, basically. And I went to do his show, but we saw him like turn up, and then he left, and then he messaged me going, where are you? And me, Anno, James, and Moriarty, we're all looking around going, where is this gig? So there's 3 little huts where Google Maps takes you. We look in each one, it's not there. The guy, the woman working there was like, oh, it's across the road. We go across the road to another hut, it's not that one either. I put my in, and the guy goes, can I help you? I go, we're looking for a gig, and then the guy goes, oh, it's over here. I go, never mind, sorry, it's over here. I felt like a right pilchard. Anyway, go over there, go into that. I was supposed to open the show so I could get off. Ended up going on second. Not a problem. Went okay again. Didn't go amazing. I did about 5 minutes. Did a very quick... Was it 5 minutes? Was it 7 minutes? Either way, it weren't a long time. Went okay again. My 4th gig of the day. Very grateful for the stage time, for everyone who gave it to me. But I did different sets at every single one. Now, I did a couple of jokes the same, but for the most part, I changed the core of the set for each one. Because I thought I might as well use this as an opportunity to just do different stuff and practice stuff that I wouldn't usually practice. Especially because at the Fringe, you do all these shows so you can advertise your own show typically, but I didn't have my own show. I was doing it purely for the sake of getting better and improvement and practice. So 4 gigs, all okay, no great shakes, but happy to do them. And the 5th one, I told you I had 5 gigs, so we went then to this show, which is a mixture of, we went straight from that one to this final one, which is a mixture of comedy and improv. And I told the lady when I got there, and I believe it was her partner who's running the thing, and she told him that, I mean, when there's one act left, and he called a different name, I whispered to him, and I was like, I think he's not put my name on the list, because the last guy had actually showed me, goes, look, this is the list, and I'm the last guy on. So I told her, and she's very apologetic. Listen, really sorry. He usually will send an email out as like confirmation. I'm like, I don't know that. Like, yeah, he told me, do you want this gig? I said, yeah, where is it? He told me there. I said, brilliant. I thought it was in. I thought it was confirmed. Not a major problem. I did watch that show for about 40 odd minutes, 50 minutes. I would have much rather been on my way home in that time because it was late. Anyway, me and James ended up leaving that while the last act was on stage. I said, no worries. They did offer, said, listen, do you want to come back tomorrow? I said, we're going to be home tomorrow, but thank you anyway. He said, safe travels, get home safe. I said, thank you, enjoy the rest of your run. And then we left, and then the bus then was half an hour late to get back to his mum's house where the car was. And when we were on the bus, he went, what do you reckon about just staying another night here? He went, at my mum's, then we'll wake up at like 5 a.m. and then we'll leave tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. And I'm thinking, well, you're the one driving. If you're tired, definitely let's just go back in here. I'll get myself back on that sofa. I'll sleep till 5 a.m. Then we left there at 5 a.m, came back, and he was working, bless him, at 10 a.m. back in Bolton. And yeah, it was exciting. It was exciting to do that, to just go there and rip out a day at the Fringe, catch up with people, bump into people in the street, ask them how's your show going, bumping into Jack Wood at that first gig, and then on the street, him and Keith Carson are doing a split show together. Keith Carson's doing 3 shows, applauds on that. And I've had this idea in the past to do 2, maybe 3 shows, and seeing his work ethic, is like one of the things that made me be like, yeah, I think I should do. Because when I was there already, I was already kind of thinking like, I think I need to be here next year and debut and just get that out of the way. Because I feel like a lot of people really hold on to it. And as much as I say, I'll just debut, it's not happened, has it? I'm 8 years into stand-up. I'll be 9 by the time it runs through next year. I need to just debut at the Fringe. I just need to get it out of the way, regardless of what I think will then come of it. It doesn't really matter. I need to just do it, and then hopefully go year after year. I look at someone like Dan Tiernan, who he started maybe a little bit before me, but we were friends when he was back in Manchester, and then since he's gone to London, he's gone from strength to strength to strength. I don't even know if I could call ourselves friends anymore, because I don't see him anymore, because he is just... He would never really be on a lot of... Then if he's on a gig that I'm on, he's closing it or opening it, and I'm on in the middle nowadays, and that's the gap that's grown between us. And obviously he's in London, but I still very much like and respect Dan. He's a friend of mine. Are we friends still? Maybe, who knows? But either way, I look at someone like Dan who does a different show every year, and I go, that's amazing, that's brilliant. That's the level where you want to be, where you can churn out a show every year and you can do stuff every year. So I'd like to be at that level of creativity. So what I've done is, this Fringe isn't even over yet. I'm now already planning the Fringe next year. I'm already kicking the tyres on my show. I've got my show here. I've still got my flyer here, actually. I left it here from last time. My UKIP's Nightmare, which was a 2-week run, the 12-day run, the 3rd to the 14th of August, back in 2024. And yeah, I want to go and debut. It'll basically be the same show. I think I will add to it. Well, obviously I'll be adding to it because you write jokes all the time and they get slotted in, etc., etc. But I think I will definitely be trying to bulk it up and meld it more into an actual show. And what I mean by an actual show is like when you watch a TV show, when you watch a film, it's got a beginning, a middle, and end, but like a beginning, a middle, and end that all like ties together. So I did a bit of research last night and I watched East is East. And the reason why I watched East is East is because that is a piece of media in the same space that I'm in. So I don't really want to watch other stand-ups and end up like, because they say that the more you watch other stand-ups, the more you become like those kind of stand-ups. So I don't really want to just watch stand-up. I thought I'd watch East is East and watch how they tell a story of a family with a Pakistani dad and a white mum in Greater Manchester, and how they tell that story of them as a family. And that's essentially what my show is. My show is talking about me in that kind of environment. So I watched it to see how they do that. They establish very quickly what the dad's like and what the kids are like and what the mum's like. They establish that very quickly. And these are not, let's just call it three, but these are three very different dynamics. Now, in the kids, that's 7 different kids, so there's all of those dynamics that changes the family dynamic. It's interesting how you establish all that quickly, and then what's the story they want to tell, and how then they go about telling that story. And these are the things I'm going to be thinking about more and more over the next year of what is the story that I want to tell. Because I want it to be autobiographical. I've been talking to James about this. James, between you and me, dear watcher, he wants to get into stand-up writing. So I've said to him, I've said, right, I'm going to include you in parts of this process with me so that you can kind of get an insight into what it takes to write something. And then we'll see if that becomes any kind of a success or not. Because I'm happy with this show. This show right here that I took to the Fringe 2 years ago, I'm happy with that show in the sense of the people who watched it, all the feedback that I got was positive. Not a single person was walked during the entire run, so nobody came to the show and then walked out. Somebody actually told me, they said, right, I'll come and I'm going to stay for a little bit, and if it's not good, I'm walking out. And I said, not a problem. Please come and please do that. And that person stayed all the way through. And I had that conversation with them afterwards, and they're like, yeah, like, yeah, it was good. Like, I'm glad that I came, and I'm glad you called me out on that, because I was willing to walk out if it wasn't any good, and it was good. So I know it's good. It's just, how can you take something that is good and turn it into a proper show? And that's what I want to do. And now, I know what a lot of people do is they create this like a thematic show, and then like maybe they sacrifice jokes for the sake of a story. I don't want to do that. Like, the bulk of this show is still going to be the same. I think there's one segment that I'll take out of it fully. I've already put 3 new jokes into it. Whether one of them stays there, I don't know, but at least 2 of those new jokes are going to stay in this show. And then I just want to add some things around it to make it more of a cohesive piece of media and a cohesive story. And then one day I want to record it and put it out there on YouTube for people to watch and stuff like that. And hopefully it resonates with people. But either way, that's what I want to do. And that's the plan, is moving forward and going into next year. That's where I want to be, and I want to be in Edinburgh for that. But there's a lot of caveats that come along with that as well. There's a lot of caveats. So, well, I want to potentially do up to 3 shows. I want to do a solo show, I want to do a split show with somebody, and I want to do like a, what's it called? A compilation show. And I've had a few ideas for compilation shows, but I might like the Alternative Black Cabaret is an idea where all the acts are black and there's a token white guy. There's the Dodgy Accent show, which is a compilation show, which obviously the gimmick is that you would do a dodgy accent. So I want to do like a compilation show, maybe with a bit of a gimmick thrown in there to like try and sell extra seats. So though I want to do all that, but the caveat is I need accommodation which is very central, because if I'm going to do that amount of shows, I'm going to need a lot of rest. I'm going to need quick rest as well. So for example, this time when we're in Edinburgh now, let's say I was there for a week, I'm staying at James's mum's. Well, she's a 45-minute bus ride away, minimum, like 45-minute bus ride. So if I want to break, if I've got like a 2-hour gap, I can't really go get the bus there and back, because by the time I've done that, I need to set off again. So I need somewhere central. So if I do have a 2-hour gap, I can go, right, I'm going to shoot back quickly, have a nap, wake back up, come back in, and so it's simple as that. I also want the shows to be a reasonable gap between them all so that I can fly for them properly, because I want to fly in my own shows. Now, I think ideally you wouldn't fly your own shows, but I think at the moment, the level that I'm at, I think I need to fly my own shows because I need to be able to sell this show to people to convince them to come through the door. And I think that's the best way. Again, I've discussed this with James. I said, if you want, because he loved the Fringe. Honestly, he was like watching me at WrestleMania. Like when I go to WrestleMania and walking through the streets, I'm seeing wrestlers. That's what he was like. Like we bumped into Phil Ellis at one point, and I know Phil, so I was like, "Oh, you're all right, Phil." Shook hands and how you doing, mate? That kind of stuff. But he sees Phil as like, Phil off TV, this is Phil Ellis off TV. Now, I see him as like Phil Ellis off TV as well a little bit. But I also see him as a colleague of mine, someone who I've worked with multiple times in the past, someone who, whenever I've dealt with him, has been very pleasant and very good. And he's actually gone out of his way in the past to send me encouraging words as well, so I've got a lot of respect for him. So it was seeing him in that environment, James being like, oh my God, whoa. He wants to go to the Fringe next year. And I'll be honest, he needs to go to the Fringe next year because he loved it. And I said to him, listen, if you come, you can fly in my show. Not that you can, like it's a privilege, but I said, you fly in my show with me and I'll tell you how I want it to be done. And again, I want him to see this process because it's an industry that he wants to be involved in, but I feel like he feels a long way away from. And the thing is, you can do it, and it's not a case of my way or the highway. It's my way or 1,000 other ways as well. There's so many different ways to do it. But obviously, as he knows me, it's a way for me to bring him in. But I'm a bit of a tough boss sometimes when it comes to stand-up comedy, and I don't want to be, but I want things to go well, and these are the things that you got to do. But yeah, so I need that to happen. So when you're looking at central accommodation in Edinburgh, you're looking at very expensive stuff. So I'm going to have to team up with other comedians. I've reached out to a couple of people already. But if I can find that and get that sorted for next year, that would be amazing. Just to lock something down central where I can keep coming back, keep getting naps, and like keep myself fresh all the way through. Because on top of running 3 shows, I'd love to just pick up other people's spots here and there as well and get to the end of the month and just have done like just an absolute mammoth load of gigs. That would be amazing. That would be like the goal essentially when I'm up there. So yeah, these are the things that I'm planning for next year. Like I say, I'm happy because I've already got the show in place and I want it to be autobiographical. And part of the reason why I want it to be autobiographical is because doing your solo show at the Fringe, the kind of idea is that you get eyes on you, and in the old days, it was all about like making it, being spotted, and I don't think that really exists anymore. But what I do think happens is a case of you add a little bit of extra sand to your sandpit. And we all start off and we've got like an empty sandpit, and we all look at it and we see the potential and we go, wow, this is a massive space, but I can't just carry all that sand, it's heavy. So over time, you start to get a little thimble full of sand and you start to pad it out. And out of nowhere, sometimes someone helps you out and gives you a nice big spade of sand. I think if you go to the Fringe, you can get press coming to your shows. Then even with press coming to your shows, there's different levels of that. So there's someone from like the Telegraph or like the Guardian coming to your show, and then there's like Jimmy Jackson, who runs his own blog, who has just started writing comedy reviews 2 weeks ago, and everywhere in between. So the bigger dogs have bigger shovels and they can get more sand into your sandpit. The smaller ones, they might have like less than a thimble full, but they can just get you a little sprinkling like that and just start putting more bits of sand into your sandpit. And these are the things that can happen at the Fringe. So if they can do that, and that sandpit is your career, and it slowly starts to build and build and build. What also can happen is you can invite agents to your show. You can, maybe if you want an agent, you want specific agents, you can go, listen, would you want to come down to my show? Would love to have you there. Give them a bit of background about you. Again, I'm not really good at that kind of stuff, so I have to really do my research on it. But you can get one of them, maybe one of those come, and then all of a sudden, you've got someone working on your side that every day is working behind the scenes. So just boom, and there's another cup of sand. Here's another cup of sand. While you're working on it yourself, they're working on it in the background as well, and you're starting to grow like that. Beyond that, another thing that's great about the Fringe is you can network with your peers. You are getting to see people like I'm seeing Anna, I'm seeing these other people who you don't get to see very often. Even when you do see it, you only see them from a very short amount of time, and then one of you has to leave. So, for example, last time I saw Jack Wood at a gig, the last time that would have been, the last one I can remember is one, it was at like a men's social club, and we were in a side room. I think it was somewhere in Yorkshire. No, was it Yorkshire? I can't remember. Or they were in Manchester. And I literally spoke to him for about 2 minutes before the show. Then it was show time. Then I did my stuff, and then I left so I could get the train back home. So you're not really able to see people for extended amounts of time and talk to them. But when you're at the Fringe, you're hanging out, you've got that time to do that. And then obviously if you're there for the full month, or 3-4 weeks, whatever it will be, you can actually spend that time with people. The other thing that can happen at the Fringe, and this for me is the thing that is the biggest bankable thing, is you will get so much better performing multiple times a day for that amount of time. I've already got some ideas of things that I want to do coming out of the Fringe next year. And it all kind of hedges on going to the Fringe, to be completely honest with you. So these are things that I'm kind of tossing up in my mind and trying to like get going and trying to think about. And it all kind of revolves around the Fringe. And I didn't really have the idea that I really want to go next year, but until going this one day. And it just shows how much can change. Like, because I now really want to go. I really want to go next year, and I really want to do these things. Now, at the same time, as you've got to be wary, there's a comedian who's been online who does very well online, and I've never met him. And I've seen his things pop up every now and then. And he posted this thing basically saying that like he's quit his Edinburgh show, and he's also quitting stand-up because he doesn't appreciate how there's been something to do with the industry. Again, I didn't really read it fully. I don't know him that well, so I felt like I don't really want to invest too much time into someone else's pain, if that makes sense. I didn't want to, indulge in that. So, so you have to be worried about these things. You can't go with the idea that I'm going to make it and this is going to be amazing and stand-up comedy is just going to be... It's just going to be a dump truck now of sand being poured into my sandpit. Again, it's not. The chances of that happening are very low. But what can happen is you can maybe meet someone who's going to change your career. You can maybe do this, maybe do that, and improve that way. So I think I've got to go. I think I've got to go next year. The problem is with going to the Fringes, it's very expensive, and I look at it too often like, oh yeah, it's just a waste of money, and like, what can you really get from the Fringe? I think I need to stop looking at the negatives and start looking at the positives and going, right, that money is an investment in your career. If you want to keep going, keep getting the sand in the pit. I'm going to keep battering this analogy over the head. If I want to keep adding sand to the pit, I need to keep out there. I need to keep getting better. I need to keep investing in myself and be getting seen by the right people. Now, another thing that also matters is the venue itself. You don't want a venue outside of the centre of things. You really want one of the big eye-catching venues. Now, my problem is I don't really know a lot of them. I know Gilded Balloon is one, I know the Pleasance is one, Just the Tonic. These people are like, have sought after rooms. Obviously the Stand, which is based there full time, Monkey Bell, which is based there full time. These places have cachet, but you don't want like a small place that is just way out of the way that's just not going to get people there, because you're going to waste money at the Fringe. So I need good venues. So this is something that I need to get on for next year, that I really need to be chasing up. And yeah, it's something that is on my mind now. I've already kind of made preliminary plans for some of the stuff, but I'm already working on my show now. And the idea is, boom, keep on top of this show, keep improving this show, keep working towards where you want to be with this show and the kind of thing that you want to put on. Oh, sorry, this is how we got onto it. Why I want it to be autobiographical is because you want this show, in an ideal world, it's your debut to put you on the map of some of those people I mentioned before, whether it's agents, whether it's industry, whether it's press, doesn't matter. You want this show to put you on the map with some of these people. And I want it to be as true to me as possible, because, again, in an ideal world, when you're sat on the sofa of This Morning or Good Morning Britain or whatever those shows are called anymore, when you're sat on those sofas and they're going, oh, Adam, you did an Edinburgh show about how you got banned from race car driving. Tell us more about that. And then I've got to be like, well, actually, I don't want to have to keep the pretense up in real life. I want to be me. I don't want to be a fake. I want to be authentic. And that's why I've always stuck with a lot of stuff about my ethnic background. A lot of people who share my background, they hide it. A lot of people who have a Pakistani dad and a non-Pakistani mum, they hide their background because it's a shameful thing to be Pakistani. It's not popular to be Pakistani in the UK. You get looked down upon, you get spat in the street, you get attacked for those things. I don't care. I'm Pakistani. I'm going to rep Pakistan. I'm going to rep Paul. I'm going to rep being a Muslim. I'm going to rep being from Bolton. I want to be authentic. I want people like me who are younger to look at me and goes, that guy keeps it real for us. If he can do it, we can do it. And I want to achieve whilst being authentic to who I am, because I feel like, not that it'd be a selling out, but like I feel like down the road, once I've already established myself in a wider sense and people know who I am, then I think I can mess around a bit more with doing a show where I pretend I'm a retired race car driver, and then I do a full show about that. And then people go, Adam, you did a show about being a retired race car driver. What was all that about? And I go, well, actually, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be a little bit more creative, and I wanted to create a whole new backstory, and I wanted to just make a whole new set of jokes based on something that isn't true. I want to create a new character for people. And then they go, wow, that's really good, Adam. What have you got coming up next? Well, next time I'm going to do something about my life again, and it's going to go back to me. And that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be, and I want to be doing that kind of thing. And that's why I want it to be as authentic as I possibly can. Then how do you tell that story in a way that... Because sometimes I feel like there's a face fits kind of thing. And I also feel like the way that my voice is, the way that I come across, the way that I dress, the way that I look, the way that I am, is not necessarily what is conducive with being a success at an arts festival, where they would very much prefer me to have this kind of voice and not to be wearing a backwards cap right now and a t-shirt from a music festival, which was 12 years ago. They would actually prefer me to be maybe wearing a shirt and maybe a casual blazer, maybe with trainers on the bottom, because, you know, I do have a lot of walking around to do whilst I'll be at the Fringe. I can't be wearing my winkle pickers all month now, can I? And I don't understand that when I see them at the industry bars and they say, oh, Adam, how are you? And I go, oh, Chrysanthemum, how are you? It's been such a long time. Mwah, mwah. Yes, oh, isn't it just dreadful the way that things are going in the UK right now? I know. My father is actually Pakistani. Yeah, my father's actually Pakistani. I know I don't mention it in my stand-up because I do jokes about the prices of aubergines, because aubergines are just too expensive nowadays, aren't they? I don't know if you know, but they're actually quite common in Pakistani food as well. So they're not just expensive, they're actually quite tied to my roots, actually. Yes, they're actually quite tied to my roots, and I'm very close to my roots, but obviously, no, I don't want to dress like anyone from who shares heritage with me. No, I want to dress like I've been to Oxford and Cambridge, because that's the kind of person that you want to get to know, isn't it? It's because you wish you went to Oxford and Cambridge as well, so you kind of want to associate the kind of people who went to Oxford and Cambridge. So I feel like maybe my career would be much better if I delivered jokes like this with a sarcastic tone. I already do things with a sarcastic tone, but when I deliver them like this, like I'm from Bolton, they don't like it. But they would much prefer this, wouldn't they? Oh yes, my name's Adam Anwar, yes, and with a name like that and a skin tone like this, well, let me tell you, it raises questions. Yeah, my people, they like to ask me questions. They say, Adam, where are you really from? I'm like, I'm from Bolton. No, Adam, where are you really from? And I've got to really break it down, don't I? Yes, I don't know where I went into Leicester then, but you know, I think this is the voice, isn't it? This is the voice that's going to get me far in my career. Maybe from now on, I should just greet people like this, and I will change my entire wardrobe. Maybe I'll start shopping in M&S. start buying my clothes from there, maybe more upmarket, but I can't afford a more upmarket, and that's the big secret. Is I'm a dirty poor guy, aren't I? At the end of the day, with a regional accent and ethnic parents, and I talk about it way too much for some people, maybe. This is the weird thing, is when before I ever got into stand-up, we were having conversation with people, and they said, you'd be perfect for it. You have got such a unique background. You have got such a unique way to talk about things in a unique perspective, that surely it's going to be fascinating for people. And it is. People who actually come to see the live show, it's good for them. But I feel like it's really hard to get people in the door. Yeah. Is there certain bits of manipulation that I can do? Well, I've thought about this as well. I've thought about, can I manipulate it? And I genuinely think if I turned up in a shalvar kameez and I turned up in my dad's shoes that are turned up at the end like the iron sheiks, yeah, that's still got something I'm knocking at home somewhere, I'm sure of it. If I rocked up in them at some industry do, and I start to talk to people in that kind of a voice, I genuinely think I would get way more people coming to my show to review it. And it's sad that I would have to do the monkey dance kind of thing of like, oh well, if you just wore the stuff and talked in a voice that we can get on a more of a wavelength with you, then we'd be on your page. And again, it's not who I am. I try to be authentic, and I've already gone through decades of my life not believing that you can get anywhere. And I refuse to believe now that I can't get where I want to be being just me. I refuse, man. I outwardly refuse. Anyway, I'm mumbling, I'm jumbling, I'm going around. Premier League season started. Well, my predictions were majorly wrong, weren't they? Arsenal won. I predicted that, but United, I predicted them to finish second in the league. They got battered. Chelsea predicted them to finish third. They actually won, so that was right for me. Who was going to come fourth? Liverpool won with a last-minute penalty, I think. No, drew with a last-minute penalty. Fifth, City, they won last minute. Towards the end, I don't know. I didn't watch all the games. I just watched a couple of them. I was away in Edinburgh, wasn't I? We're gigging coming up tomorrow night. By the time you see this, it will be tonight at the earliest. I will be at the Choose Yard in Preston. I was supposed to be going with the Mighty Swab. The Mighty Swab has had a domestic incident which he is dealing with, which means that his car is off the road, essentially. Is that domestic? Because your car's outside, technically. I don't know. Either way, an issue with his car, which means it's off the road, which means he will not be coming anymore. So I'll be going by myself tomorrow to that gig, and looking forward to it. I think I'm closing it. Been asked to do an extended set, which is fine by me. That I'm happy to do that. I can chuck in a few new jokes, but yeah, I think that's a podcast for this week, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching. Like, subscribe, prescribe, as my dad would say. See you later.